Kremlin rejects threat of new sanctions after Trump's statement. The Kremlin has reacted sharply after U.S. President Donald Trump announced his readiness to increase sanctions against the Russian Federation. Speaking on the evening of September 8, spokesman Dmitry Peskov affirmed that no sanctions can change the strategic goals that Moscow has repeatedly emphasized. According to the Kyiv Post, this reaction was made in the context of Russia having just launched the largest airstrike since full-scale hostilities broke out in February 2022. The attack on September 7 mobilized up to 805 unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and 13 missiles, including Iskander cruise missiles. Although most of them were intercepted by Ukrainian air defenses, many civilian targets were still hit. The tragedy in Kiev claimed the lives of 4 people, including a mother and her newborn baby. The Ukrainian Cabinet Minister's office was also severely damaged after being hit by missile fragments. Immediately after the attack, President Trump expressed his displeasure. He told reporters that he was not happy with the developments in Ukraine and said he would soon talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin to find a solution. "We'll get it over the next few days. We'll see," he said. Since his summit with Putin in Alaska last month, Trump has repeatedly stressed that the Russian leader is ready to negotiate peace. However, Moscow has continued its heavy airstrikes. On September 4, another large-scale attack killed 25 civilians in Kiev, including 4 children. In an interview with CBS, Trump admitted that neither Putin nor Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky were ready for peace, but he believed "we'll get it done." Zelensky, meanwhile, has repeatedly proposed meeting Putin in person since May, starting with a trip to Istanbul. However, the Kremlin has repeatedly refused, instead making demands that Kiev considers unacceptable, such as holding a Russia-Ukraine summit in Moscow. Trump's patience appears to have worn thin after the September 7 attack. When asked if he was ready to move to a second phase of sanctions against Russia, Trump simply replied, "Yes, I am ready." However, the White House has not released further details about the content or scope of the new sanctions package. Peskov, on the other hand, asserted that the economic measures imposed by the West over the past 2 years have been useless in pressuring Russia to change its stance. However, many data show that the Russian economy is facing serious difficulties. In a related development, the European Union's special envoy for sanctions, David O'Sullivan, is expected to be in Washington on September 8 to discuss with the U.S. the possibility of coordinating the imposition of additional sanctions on Russia.